Ми продовжуємо співбесіди, і наступний наш кандидат – це Віктор.
So we continue the interviews, and our next candidate is Віктор Павлущик. Please invite Віктор.
Доброго дня.
Good afternoon.
Так, пане Вікторе, вітаємо. Дякуємо, що ви прийшли на співбесіду.
Victor, welcome. Thank you for joining the interview. So the Commission has some questions. We know that you took part in the competition for the position of the NABU director, and there were some questions also about your declarations, your property, and we looked at your interview and also at your recent declarations. So we do have some questions we would like to ask you about your declarations, your property, and we would like to get more detailed explanation. So I will be asking most questions because I am the key interviewer, and we would like to ask you to be brief and to take 3 to 4 minutes to answer each question. So let us start. First of all, let us look at your declarations for 2019-2022. So you stated that since January 1st, 2006, you have had the right to use an apartment in Kiev with an area of 45.4 square meters owned by your mother, Любов Margolich. This property is your registered place of residence. At the same time, this apartment is not listed in your declarations for 2015 till 2018. So please, could you explain the reasons for not declaring the information about the right to use this apartment in your declarations for these years? Thank you. So I have provided detailed information in the written papers, and I will try to briefly explain in this period from 2015-2018 when I submitted declarations for those years. Then the explanations which are valid now, they were not valid back then, and at that point the fact of registration in a certain apartment was not to be indicated if there were no other rights. So it was a matter which became public afterwards, and when in 2019 or in 2020 the rules of declarations changed, I decided to state this information, to include it into the declaration. And in every declaration I stated the place of my registration in section 2, I think. Okay, thank you. Another question about declarations. In 2016, you sold the car 2010 Cherry for $49,000, which was about $2,000 at the exchange rate at the time. According to the Archived Acts for the sale of used cars in November 2016, a car of a similar make, model, and year of manufacture could be purchased for around $7,700. In your explanations, you said that you think that the sale price of your car is market price. So could you please explain your considerations in more detail? Yes, of course, I can do that. First, according to the state of the car and also the age of the car, with I have to say that there were critical problems with the engine, and there were some issues with transmission. There was a big problem with the engine. I'm not a professional and expert in cars, but there were big issues, and considering the state, this price was quite adequate for the car, and we sold it through intermediary, and then we were looking for a new car to purchase, and later the intermediary was working on the purchase. There was a power of attorney for this person, but I do not have these documents now. I have not saved them. And the amount that you got from the intermediary, is it the one that we have, 49,000? Yes, it was around 2,000 US dollars, so 1,900 or 2,000. I'm asking this question to everyone, and you will not be an exception. How did it happen that the amount is 49,000, not 50,000? Does it relate to the fact that there were limitations of 50,000 for cash transactions? Yeah, I understand that you ask this question, and it is a standard one, but also I wanted to say that there are other deeds and transactions stated in my declarations, and in 2016 there was the Camry, Toyota Camry, which was purchased, and it was sold, and there were also another deal for Tatiana Vodopianova, my partner. In 2022, we also had a deed for this car, and the real price was stated in for all these transactions. So I was not trying to avoid anything or somehow confuse anyone. Okay, thank you. And let us talk about your 2020 declaration. In this declaration, you declared that your cohabitant, Tatiana Vodopianova, received a gift in cash from her mother in the amount of 280,000 hryvnias. In addition, the mother of your partner on December 21, 2021, acquired ownership of a Hyundai Elantra made in 2014. And during the interview as part of the competition for the position of the director of the NABU, you explained that the source of funds for the gift was the mother's personal money from savings and pension, which she has been receiving since 2011. And the mother of the partner bought the Hyundai car at a market price of 290,000 hryvnias, also from her own income and savings. So the Commission would like to ask you to explain your calculations of the sources of fund that your partner's mother had to purchase the car and make this gift. Thank you. In my written response, I tried to present the calculations approximately, and I think that in this situation, we need to take into account the exchange rates like of hryvnia to foreign currency, and also the process of inflation. At the same time, I made some calculations starting from 2007. I did not go any further, but I had this form OK5. I think that's the form that I submitted. And in these calculations from 2007 to 2021, the total amount of income, not accounting for the period of 2011 to 2016, because that I could not get information from the pension fund. And I tried to cover all other years, including 2017 and 2018. So according to my calculations, the total income of Tatiana's mother was around $53,000, which even not taking into account any other savings that she could have before 2007, any other income she could have before 2007, that would be enough for this gift of 10,000, and also this payment for the car in the amount of 10,000. So in total, that would be 20,000. So I think that it's taking into account 30, almost 40 years of work before that, I think that the income would be enough. Thank you. The Commission would like to congratulate you on the birth of your daughter while you are taking part in this competition. Now we know that you have 3 young children. On your support, of course, that is a joyful event, and we would like to congratulate you. At the same time, when you took part in the competition for the position of the NABO director, and from the official sources, we see that you went abroad after the start of the full-scale invasion. You said that your ex-wife was not able to travel abroad because of her military service, so it was you who had to take care of the living conditions and transportation of your children. And in your explanation, you said that you went abroad 3 times. The purpose of the first one-day trip was, as you said, to transport your brother's car. The second week-long trip was to visit your children, and the third trip was to return your children abroad. And we would like to ask, could you explain why you needed to cross the border, because you have other relatives? So why did you have to go to visit your kids, or to bring them abroad? And why did you say that you needed to take your brother's car? And how can you explain in detail, so how could you cross the border, considering your position at that time? Was it a business trip or was it a vacation? So could you please provide explanations on that? Yes, of course. I will try to explain briefly, but that's quite a big question and quite emotional. I will explain why. So back then, yes, my parents, both of them were 62 years old, and I do not know if they listen to this interview or not, but I am thankful to them. I'm a proud son of my parents. They could have said no, but they made a decision. My father got retired from work, and they helped me and my ex-wife to ensure the safety and security of our children. And all these 3 trips that I made abroad to ensure the stay of my children there, I made them all only for this purpose that I stated. And yes, anybody can raise my children, any relatives can take part in that, but seeing your mother just for 10 years, for 10 days during one year, that is a big thing. And so I tried to make sure that my children see me. And there were some cases when I met my children in the Transcarpathian region, so that I would not have to go abroad. And I think that you can get information about my parents crossing the border. And back then, at that moment, I was the only person for my children, and for my parents, I was the only person who could come and support them and help them. And as for the legal reasons to cross the border, that's just, yes, a legal thing. And I want to say that people working in NABU, as well as people from the military service and the State and Investigation Bureau, they all have the right to go abroad according to the legislation. So that was the right of at my position. It is the same guarantee as or benefit as salary or any bonuses. So it is not related to any professional duties. Those were not business trips. Those were personal vacations. And I think that I want to say that there were no other documents to be submitted, just the documents to confirm the fact that I worked at NABU, and the fact that I had a vacation during this time, and it is in line, I want to reiterate, with the current norms. And there was also a fourth trip as father of the newborn.
Дякуємо вам за роз'яснення. Ще одне питання, яке
Thank you
постало
for clarifications. And another question that arose in relation to your interview for the head of NABU that is related to the mother of your partner. She traveled in 2020 to Russia, to Rostov Oblast. You explained that in 2020 she went to Rostov Oblast and did not visit Moscow because the issue was about crossing the border. The information about crossing the border and going to Moscow was in the database because the train was going to Moscow. The trip lasted for almost 5 days, and the mother of your partner did not receive any income from the sources in Russia and did not do any business there. She went there to be present at the important event. With whom the parents of your partner had a relationship since the 80s and until the full-scale invasion. And could you please explain more about this important event? And also please explain your attitude to traveling to Russia between 2014 and the beginning of full-scale invasion. Thank you. You almost mentioned almost everything that I know. I want to add something that I also mentioned during the previous commission. At the time, I did not know this. After that, I did not have any intention to get to know more, but of course my attitude was communicated and it's known. And I also want to emphasize that as of right now, as I mentioned during the previous interview, most likely, as far as I remember, I haven't even met the mother of Tatiana Vodopyanova, but at the same time, on my opinion about that and on my attitude, it is objectively based on many factors, including the factors that I've lived through since 2014. There are the facts related to my former colleagues who transferred to the enemy's side, being in Crimea and in Luhansk and Donetsk Oblast. Those are the factors of a great number of my colleagues and friends who went to take part in the so-called, at the time, anti-terroristic operation. Also, my brother, who was there for a long time as the officer of the SSU. And it is a negative attitude since 2014. And ever in my life, I have never been in Russia or Belarus. And if all of us will be able to go there under different consequences, I will think about visiting there. But I think also that to emphasize my attitude to this will be the fact that with the full-scale invasion, being in Kyiv Oblast, where I live, I did not evacuate, I did not leave, I remained in Kyiv. I was involved in the activities of NABU, armed unit. We were together with the interagency groups of the SSU. I took part at the time in one of the probably thickest regions in Bucha region. I was the deputy head of this interagency group. And since February 24 and until early April, I never left Kyiv Oblast. I directly was involved in countering the aggression. It is also supported by the certificate that I provided to the Commission. Thank you, Victor. And another question. The public is curious about your administrative violation in Lviv Oblast in 2023. You have provided the explanation in your previous interview. And it was in the fact that while driving the car, you crossed the line and you violated Article 122.1 on administrative violations. At the previous interview for integrity for NABU head, you said that you did not remember whether you followed the policy of reporting this incident to internal control and to your head. Did you remember this since the previous interview? What were your actions? Did you follow the procedure of reporting such incidents? I did not receive this question in writing. So basically, I specifically did not go into detail on this question. After the previous interview, according to our corporate ethics, we are obliged to report about a quite large pool of events that take place in our lives and in the lives of people who we actually declare. And let me have a second to word things. And there are quite many cases that need to be reported. To be honest, I always act according to the procedure. We have the phone, and we have the written procedure as well. The facts, such as the accident that involved the agency's car, I remember well. There were quite many explanations over there and the check of this specific circumstance. And I also remember the recent things is the news that you mentioned about the child being born. And as an employee of NABU and as a public official, I had to report everything, probably except Facebook, where I did not post the birth certificate. So I could say that I always comply with the reporting procedure. I did not check on this particular fact. I know that the Internal Control Department, after the interview for the head of NABU, it checked all the facts that were mentioned during the interviews. They had no additional questions to me, so I think that, yes, I've taken all the necessary actions. Thank you. Dear members of the Commission, do you have any additional questions? Andrei, please. The first question regarding the presents that your partner received, Tatiana. What were they related with? I try to subjectively think. I did not see any anniversaries, neither for you nor your partner nor your children. Do you have other, birth years, not 1 or not 6? So why that year the present was given? What was it related to? Thank you for the question. I'll try to reply from memory. I don't have the documents that I could compare it with. But as far as I remember, specifically, one of the presents was given to take part in the first tranche on buying property with a loan. Also, in the infamous certificate that your agency prepares, there is a notary with the last name Zidic. And in the following cases, I don't quite understand. The first one, it says that Olena, the mother of your partner, received something. It was either inheritance or income that was given as a present by a family member of first or second relation in 2023. I'll also try to answer you from memory. Is 23? Yes, it happened quite recently. in 22, a very unpleasant event happened. My partner's father died, and she received the inheritance in 2023, and one of the property, it was a car, and she gave it as a present to her mother, and I think that what you're asking about is related to that. And in the 2023, there is also the sale or exchange. It says Bakhmut Avto, which is the source of income. The sale of this car, 230,000. Is it the same car? I don't know. I don't have the information. You can always find the information that your body gathered about you. We have them, so we invite you to have a look at that and provide the explanation if it is possible. Thank you very much. I'll give a short comment. I think that this information I can clarify with my partner. It won't be a problem, and provide you the explanation. Okay, so since we have already talked about Anna Zinich, the notary, the question is about her certifying the agreement about the apartment in the northern part of the city that has been given as a present. So we will consider that this question is answered. Dear members of the Commission, are there any additional questions? And I see that there are none. Thank you very much for this interview, for the provided information. We wish you well. Thank you very much. Goodbye.